Hoy there, Skyward Shield. Welcome back to a new Football Talks. We're into week 13. I am joined by Bill. Say hello, Bill.
Hey, hey.
Well, now week 12 is done. We're starting to get into that final stretch. We're heading into December. The things get really hectic really fast. But before we do that, let's take a look at these last games in November and start in Thanksgiving with the first Thanksgiving game, which I thought these games were going to be good, but no, none of them were really that good. I guess you could argue this one was the best because there were points put up in the Lions and Vikings. And the Lions really dropped the ball on this one, Bill. I think they had a chance to make history and sweep every team from their division, and now there's no way they can do that.
Right. I mean, overall, the start of the game is what killed this team. The start of the game, they came out and gave up the football with Amir Abdullah. And the other thing is they gave up 10 points in the first quarter. And they've been a team that have consistently given up too many points at the beginning of games and thinking that they can come back. Eventually, that's going to bite you, you know, it's going to get you. And I mean, overall, it got the Lions. We couldn't come back. We consistently were playing from behind. Matt Stafford had a decent day. He had 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. But the major issue is, for one, the defense not being able to stop anybody when they need to stop somebody. Two, horrifically bad coaching because they were blitzing in situations they didn't need to blitz in, but we'll get to that. And three is the running back situation, which is the first thing I'm going to focus on, because Amir Abdullah is not a good running back, and we need to put a running back into the game that can hold on to the football. And that running back is Zach Zenner. He's a run up the gut. He's a hold on to the football. He's a seventh rounder, undrafted player that is hungry to play the game. Give him the football. Do not give it to Amir Abdullah anymore. He might be explosive, but that explosiveness comes at the cost of fumbling the football too often, and that's been his MO since college.
Oh yeah. I want to focus on the coaching because there are some really boneheaded decisions. Like there's the blitzing. I mean, I don't know how the Tease Tabor, the second round pick they got this year, had a clear shot at Case Keenum, and he somehow could not get a hold of him and let Keenum outmaneuver him.
Right.
Really, that was not Tease Tabor's best day because that led to some points. I think that actually led to a touchdown, but I'm not sure. Either way, that was not good. And
Right.
then
Yeah.
my personal favorite situation that they should have done. I guarantee you, someone like Bill O'Brien would have throw the flag for this. There was a situation where the ball looked like it may not have gotten to the first down marker because the guy's knee hit the floor before he could extend the ball far enough. And when I saw the replay the first time, I thought I would throw the flag. I would throw the flag immediately. And the Vikings were not trying to snap the ball early. They weren't afraid of that. They didn't. That would have been a perfect exploitative opportunity, and it would have led to fourth down, which would have led to a situation of either maybe try a field goal, or punt the ball, or go for it on fourth down. You would have put them at a
Right.
very uh, difficult situation, and he didn't throw the flag. Caldwell didn't throw the flag, and I was disappointed. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. This guy does not like to throw red challenge flags often. Like, for, I don't know why. It's like, what, you want to preserve your timeouts? Well, it didn't matter here.
Right.
Because good old Matt Stafford's hurt. Yeah, he got pushed by his own lineman from like, and landed, like, in a really awkward spot. I mean, I think he'll be fine. I'm pretty sure he's going to play next week because, look, you had, like, what is essentially a half extra bye week on like added onto this game, and you're playing the Ravens, who are coming off a Monday night game.
Right. I mean, I mean, and the other thing that I want to add on to that, the Lions, the play that really got my ire was in the fourth quarter. You're on like 3rd and 10 or 3rd and long, and what you're doing is you're calling a blitz in a situation that doesn't call for a blitz. Just play man to man or let them run. They were running the clock out. They're in a 3rd and long. Why are you blitzing in that situation? You you play 8 deep and you rush 3 or 4, and if they can convert it, they convert it. If they don't, you get the ball back. Nope, we blitz everybody and it's man-to-man coverage. In the fourth quarter when you're down 7, I don't get the defensive play calling. And that's why in the offseason, the defensive coordinator, Terrell Austin, needs to go. He needs to go. This defense is good, and then it collapses constantly.
Yeah, this is one of two teams I want to see a coaching change. The other team we're going to get to in a few minutes, but I don't have much else to say from this game in terms of good things the Lions did. The only good thing was that Marvin Jones continues to excel in a play where they had too many men on the field, and the guy that was the extra man, like Terrence Newman, decided to double cover Marvin Jones, and he still caught it in double coverage and took it to the house. That to me was the play of the game. While it didn't decide the game, it was that play that made this game into a game.
I mean, Matthew Stafford is if I'll put another thing. Matthew Stafford's another bright spot in that game, even with the pick, because he played through, one, an injury, two, he that looked like a brutal injury they took, and we all knew he was going back out there whether he had one leg or not. So I mean, Stafford is another bright spot because of his toughness. He's gritty, and that's what we like here in the city of Detroit. He's a very Detroit player. So
The
more
line did
power
not
to
help
him.
at all, though.
Yeah.
That line
Uh,
got manhandled again.
the offensive line, I think it's one of those issues where they need to play together for a season plus to really gel together. They didn't have Decker for a long while. The whole line has been reshuffled, and you know, give it a year, that line will be really good. It's just, this year they're not gelling. It's a little bit to do with practicing as a unit for the entire year.
There was one Lions fan bitching about this game. Not a friend of mine. This is just some other guy that was just getting mad at one another dude, Moonlight Swami, who I'll be honest, I think he hates Matt Stafford and hates Deshaun Watson. Like, he thinks they're impressive, but he doesn't like them. I mean, they're not gods like Brady, obviously. But anyway, so one guy was saying that that Stafford's a top 5 quarterback. It's not his fault. Stafford makes mistakes. He's made mistakes. I mean, come on. Despite like he made that interception, he should not have thrown. He was baited and he fell for it.
Right.
But to
I
me,
mean,
the problem. I want to finish this if that's okay. The problem with that guy's argument saying that that Stafford's not the biggest one at fault. And he's not wrong. Stafford's not the biggest faulting player in this team, but he's saying that they are a top 10 team right now. It's like, I don't see it, because the biggest problem right now is the running backs. If they're a top 10 team, saying Stafford pretty much has been carrying this team. In a way, he has. But the thing is, what makes so many of those quarterbacks great? Like, let me give you 2 examples of right now why you need a running game. Look at what is happening with New England, which we're going to talk about, and with the New Orleans Saints. What do they have? You have, of course, demigod like quarterbacks, but who is their part of their supporting cast, Bill?
right.
Who do you have? Who do they have as their supporting cast when
I
they're
mean,
not
they
throwing
have
the ball? Who are they giving it to?
they have Alvin Kamara in New Orleans. And what other team was it?
The Patriots and Tom Brady. Who's their main running back?
Patriots have Dion Lewis or
Well, it's pretty
Burkhead,
much a
depending.
monster of the week for them. A different player has a big game. Because when we talk about New England, Dion Lewis was that beast that dominated the ground game that week. Just how like the other week ago it was Burkhead.
Right.
So it's to me the Patriots have a monster of the week type of thing where they just shuffle in another guy and he goes for 100 yards, and the Saints have two good running backs in Ingram and Kimura. That's my point. They have run games which make quarterbacks better because if you're so one dimensional, they know it's like we don't need to really try to stop the running game. Just cover these wide receivers and force Stafford to throw them and take chances.
I agree, but I'll give you an example of a team that never had they never won the Super Bowl, but they never had a running back to the level of the quarterback that they had, and that was the Dan Marino-led Miami Dolphins. They consistently went 14-2 per year and had no running game at all. They had zero running game with Dan Marino. So, I mean, overall, and that's in the 80s and 90s, in a more run-heavy era, they had no running game, and yet they made 2 Super Bowls with no running game.
They didn't win those, though.
They didn't win those, but one team, they ran into the same team twice.
I feel like defenses are just evolving so much better to counteract the passing game that you kind of need the run game to keep them on their toes.
Right. But, when the Dolphins made the Super Bowl a couple times, they played the 80s super team, the San Francisco 49ers. So, I mean, I feel like you can win a Super Bowl without a running game. It's just it's not a smart thing to do. And I agree, you need a running game to augment your quarterback.
Yes,
I think you can.
I think half the reason quarterbacks look so mistake-free is because the running back is preventing those from happening. That's right. That sounds like a fallacy type filled argument, but I just want people to think about it. Imagine if these quarterbacks didn't have those running backs keeping the defensive linemen off their backs.
I mean, a perfect example is the team we're getting to next.
Yeah.
Dallas.
Yep, they're the best example actually. What happens when you take a good running back? Because I didn't think Zeke was that important, but lo and behold, this Dallas offense is like a deer in the headlights. It doesn't know what to do. It cannot react. In fact, it can barely put up points. They are still allergic to the end zone.
Yep.
And they haven't scored a touchdown since the first quarter of the Falcons game 2 weeks ago. That is just embarrassing. This game was, let's be fair though, the Chargers did win, but I want people to understand, that first half was so ugly, I would have been fine if the game ended 3-0. It should have ended 3-0, because both teams, despite they did not want to win this game in the first half. They could not get into the end zone, they could not keep their quarterbacks safe, or, my personal favorite, the quarterbacks just couldn't get the ball in the right spot. Both of them. Phillip Rivers was getting yardage, but when it came down to it, to get those touchdowns in the first half, he didn't even get close. It was horrible. 1 minute he's Phillip Rivers, and another minute he's Brock Osweiler. Right. It was a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde day for him in the first half, but when the second half came around, they just swamped Dallas. They were putting up points like they were the Golden State Warriors at certain points. The Cowboys did not stand a chance. The Cowboys are pretenders, and to the Cowboys fans who legit want to keep saying they have a chance in a division where 10-6 may not even be enough to get you in the playoffs as a wild card team, and you're talking about beating the Eagles and taking the division from them when they're 10-1 right now. There's a difference between just being 1 or 2 games apart and you haven't played the other team yet. Because, like, okay, you need to beat them twice, win out your games. That's fine. That's possible because it's in your control. You control your own destiny. But here, even if you won out all your games and you beat the Eagles, they'll still get in because that means that would probably be their only second loss. You need them to lose to teams like the Seahawks, to the Rams, and I think another loss or two would be enough to give you a chance. But that's out of your proportion. If you actually did that, I would donate my paycheck to a charity. And I say the same thing about Texans fans too, which I'm going to get to. So don't worry, Cowboys fans. You're not the only Texas-based team or fan base I'm going to rip apart today. So don't worry, you're not the only one. But don't worry, I'm not here to make fun of you yet. They are for later. Right now, I want to criticize the coaching scheme. Jason Garrett, do you know how to do anything besides clap and say we need to do a better job? Come on. Seriously, Jason Garrett must be the king of not doing halftime adjustments. Like, we're only down 3-0. Let's just keep going with what we got. No, but what's that? We need to adjust to protect Dak Prescott's left side, his blind side? Who cares? It's fine. He'll be fine.
Right.
We got this. Our scheme has never failed us so far. It is the best scheme ever. It got us to 13-3. We could do it again. No, you can't. No, you can't. The best coaches always adapt, and you're not one of them. You never were the best coach, and Cowboys fans have said that when they went 13-3 and 12-4. Like, yeah, they're the best team right now. No, they're not. Their defense was trash, and it's been exposed as such. But now your running game is without Zeke. You are a deer in the headlights, like I said earlier.
Right. I mean,
what, Bill?
I'm just gonna piggyback off of that and just say what Jason Garrett is. Jason Garrett is the former coach of the Rams, Jeff Fisher. He's the Jeff Fisher of the Cowboys. He's a consistent 8-8 team, but they masqueraded as a 13-3 team last year.
Why? Because their players did it for them, not him.
Yeah. He is a legit 8-8 coach every year. I mean, the reason why they went 13-3 last year is 1, they played a bunch of poor teams. 2, they had a running game that they could control the clock and keep the defense off the field. 3, they got enough out of Dak Prescott to move the football when they needed him to do that. Without Zeke there, they cannot move the football at all.
Yep, and before people say that we're making shit up from last year, let me remind you of the bad teams you played last year. You had to play the Bucs and the Bears, which, mind you, those were both Sunday Night Football games. Somehow. You had to also play the 49ers. You also had to play the Browns, which that was AFC, your obligatory AFC division matchup. But even so, 5 games, all of them gimmies, and you're talking like you're hot shit. Now you had to play against teams like the Falcons. You had to play the Seahawks later. And you had to play the Packers with Aaron Rodgers. And what did Aaron Rodgers is your owner. You're his bitch. You're lucky he's not around, because if you somehow made the playoffs, you wouldn't have to face him. But you probably have to play someone else like, I don't know, Drew Brees. Which, in my opinion, that may just be even worse. A worser fate than death.
Yeah, I mean, overall, the Dallas Cowboys, they need to really think about getting rid of Jason Garrett. And that team is a team on offense that is built to go to the playoffs. They just don't build on the defense, and their coaching staff doesn't make the necessary adjustments at halftime. They could have beat the LA Chargers in that game. That game was close.
They could have beaten the Packers too. But they left to
Yeah, they could have beat the Packers. They could have beat a lot of teams, but they don't change what they're doing. If something's working for you, keep doing it. If the passing game's working, don't continuously feed the football to someone that's not going to get you any yards.
To me, I think they're just a short-term mindset type of team. They only think of what's going to work right now. That's how they've always been. But then you have good teams like the Patriots. The Patriot way is all about the long term.
And look at the Patriots. Overall, the Patriots have built. They've found out what hasn't worked on their defense and compensated for it. You know.
Yeah, they lost Deontay Hightower, and I thought they'd be doomed on defense, but no, they've gotten better. Other players have stepped up because that's the Patriot way for you. But anyway, as for the sake of the Cowboys, get a new coach that can think long term. Also, somebody who can think defense. It doesn't need to be a defensive head coach because, to be honest, I think if they really do want to be a Super Bowl team, they will need an offensive-minded coach. They just need some coordinator who can be good enough and very manageable for them. Because that is the missing. That is their problem. Their offense, aside from Zeke, their players aren't. I wouldn't say they're the problem, but here's the funny thing now here's where I actually do bash Cowboys fans before we move on. Cowboys fans were making fun of the Texans because, like, oh look, you guys drafted Deshaun Watson. He's not gonna be that good. Like, these are the same people saying that a rookie quarterback can't do it, but didn't you go 13-3 with your rookie quarterback? Anyway, there's this one girl on Twitter. I can't call her out on it because that would be, first off, that would be horrible. Like, if I did it on a video. I guess that would be called harassment, but anyway. So there was this one girl on Twitter. I think she deleted the tweet because I can't find it. Either she deleted all her tweets, which I think that was the case, or she just deleted her account. I don't know. I can't find it. I liked it. I tried so I can look for it later in case the situation came up. Here's what she said. Deshaun Watson would be a bust. The Cowboys would win the Super Bowl, and Dak Prescott would be MVP. Well, you might be right on. You might be right on one thing. No, actually, no, you're not. You might be right on the Watson thing because we still have many years to go through with him. So that one's still a work in progress. But as things stand now, that looks like a clear wrong. Watson if he's still playing right now, he would very likely have won the MVP for Rookie of the Year by now.
Right.
So Dak Prescott would be the MVP. How about that one? No, that doesn't look good. I'm pretty sure Carson Wentz is going to run away with that, if not Drew Brees. Because the MVP award never goes to Tom Brady. They don't like giving it to Tom Brady. And lastly, the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl. You're not mathematically eliminated, but let's be real. You lose one more game, you're done. In fact, you're already done. But you're still not mathematically out of it. But just one more loss, like you lose to Washington today, and rip. I say to Cowboys fans, do what the Astros did. Tank. Embrace the tank. Embrace the tank to get a good draft pick. You can go 7-9 at least. You can keep failing that much. Maybe you can go 6-10. Get into that double-digit territory. Get like a 16th round or 16th overall pick. Get a good defensive player. Get a cornerback. You need one. Get a linebacker. You need him. What are you gonna say, Bill?
I was just say what you said. Get defensive players and draft all defense. They need a defense, and they really, really need to really help Lawrence out because Lawrence is their lone bright spot on defense. Minus Sean Lee. Sean Lee and Lawrence, good stuff.
But Sean Lee is such an injury risk.
Yeah, get more, but get a linebacker. I would say get a linebacker or corner. Someone that can anchor that defense for years to come. They're in a good spot with that offense. Be in a good spot on your defense, and you're a Super Bowl contender year in and year out because Philadelphia has their quarterback of the future. Dallas has their quarterback of the future in Dak Prescott. He's a damn good quarterback. They have a running back. These two teams are going to be head-to-head for the next few years. So look at what Philadelphia has, though. They have a really shut-down defense in Philadelphia. So that's the difference.
Yeah. And the last thing I was gonna mention with the whole Cowboys fans making fun of Houston fans. Think of it this way: you guys have gotten 14 primetime games, and well, let's be real, you don't deserve any more of them. But they're not gonna change that. Most of them they can't change. The Sunday night game with the Raiders, I hope they change it. I don't think they will, cause Cowboys. If they didn't want to change Pittsburgh and Green Bay, they're not gonna do that one. And plus the SNF crew loves sucking on that NFC stick. They love it. They're such sellouts to them. But anyway, so Cowboys fans, you got your 14 primetime games, and you've been a big disappointment since. But you're gonna probably get, I want to say 10 primetime games. I just hope if you're gonna give them 10 next year, at least let one of them be the Texans and the Cowboys, like a Monday Night Football game for a Texas Showdown, a once in 4 years thing. I'll take
Right.
that. That's acceptable. Anyway, so you have that. But what has been going wrong with Houston? Unlike you, let's see. We lost our quarterback. We found our quarterback, and then we lose him to an ACL injury. We lost the best defensive player of the 21st century. We've lost in my opinion, one of the best underrated linebackers. Like one person said that he's like worse than Bobby Wagner. Like Bobby Wagner's better. Like I disagree. I think he's better than players like him. I think he's actually one of the best ones. He's just so under the radar because you don't see the Texans on primetime every week like you do the Seahawks.
Right.
We lost half of our cornerbacks. We've lost half our wide receivers. We traded away Dwayne Brown for some draft picks. I hope those pay dividends. I trust you, Rick Smith, to not fuck it up. We also lost our left tackle who was meant to be under him. We lost him to an injury. We lost our rookie running back, Deontay Foreman, who was starting to look good. And we might have lost Lamar Miller. He's hurt. I think he might play, but I don't know. I feel like he plays another game like that, he's going to be out for the year. So, yeah. Our lone bright spots are Jadeveon Clowney and DeAndre Hopkins. So, what's wrong with you guys? You've only lost Zeke, Tyron Smith, and Sean Lee. And they're like, oh, we're so injury prone. Pity us. We're such a pain franchise. Yes, you and your 5 Super Bowls. So pained. No, you guys don't have the excuse that the Texans do. You haven't lost nearly as much level of talent as the Texans have, and you want to tell us that you are in a bad spot? Yes, you are. You're in a terrible spot because you're a primetime team. Your talent with the better coach, you would still manage and actually. I don't know if you have a positive record, but you'd be much more closer to an even 500 record than most other teams. You just have a bad coach. Fix that shit. Fix your defense, and you'll be back in the Super Bowl. You're supposed to be my Super Bowl team in 2019. You're still fucking it up. Get your act together. You got 2 years to make my prediction right.
Right.
Anyway, Bill, let's move on. I'm sick of the Cowboys. Let's go talk. This one won't take long either. The Patriots doing what do you expect them to do? Eliminate a bad team. Put them in the trash. The Patriots didn't even play a perfect game either. There were some slip-ups like the bad early snap that Tom Brady couldn't get that got taken to the house.
Or the pick.
Oh yeah,
You know.
the pick, the interception. But other than that, Tom Brady was dicing up this defense like he was making a salad.
Remember when the Miami Dolphins, when they signed Ndamukong Suh and all these defensive players were supposed to challenge the New England Patriots for the division? Remember that a few
That was
years
cute.
ago?
I think the only defensive player who's worth a damn is the oldest one in Cameron Wake. Just remember, he's older than you think because he came out of the CFL.
Right.
So there is that. But that was a very cute prediction. What else was cute? Oh, I know. Remember when people said the Colts were gonna be a Super Bowl pick after they got to the AFC Championship, and they hung that cute little banner that said AFC Championship participants. I didn't know we gave out participant awards.
The ultimate participation trophy. You know, I mean, that's exactly what the Dolphins should get in this game, a participation trophy, because they did not play very well, and they were playing like their dirty old selves for most of the game. Sue was late hitting people like he normally does. You know, and again, whenever it's Detroit, it's obviously we're a dirty team because it's the city of Detroit, but South Beach and beautiful Miami, oh, they're not dirty. They just play gritty football. Go fuck yourself. I'm I'm glad I'm glad they fucking lose every goddamn year, and I hope they continue to lose while Ndamukong Suh's there.
Yeah,
So
I will enjoy it too. Embrace the tank, Miami. But I mean, you've been embracing the tank like the other three teams. Well, that's not true.
over
They're all in denial. Like, we can still do this, guys. We're still a good team. We're better than the Patriots. Yeah, keep
I
telling
mean
yourself that.
I mean legitimately the only time that they had any success against the Patriots was when the Patriots played them in the first Wildcat game, when Wildcat became a thing in the NFL because it was so good against the Patriots in week 1 of a regular season game. Ay, ay, ay. But yeah, overall, you know, Gronk was doing Gronk things in that game. Brandon Cooks was going off. You know, Dion Lewis was going off. You know, the Patriots were just pressed on the gas pedal. They own the division now.
Dion
That
Lewis looks so good, though.
yeah,
Like,
he
he kept exploding for more than 10 yards every couple minutes or so. It was great to see him just overpower that overrated Dolphins defense. He made them look like clowns. I mean, they are clowns. I mean, their coach snorted cocaine in his own office.
the typical uh the typical NFL locker room apparently.
Yep. Remember, this is the
Cocaine.
same locker room that liked to bully a guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's overall, you know, the Patriots just they just proved why they own the division, and the good thing for them is they get Miami in Miami of week 17. So, I mean, you get to play a warm weather game at the very end of the year. Get a decently warm weather game in New England in November, and you know, it's just they're going to be warm going into the
Oh,
playoffs.
actually, no. They play them in 2 weeks. Week 14, they go over there on
Oh,
Monday
week
night.
14.
They have the
It's
Jets at home. They have 2 home games to end the season. So that's fun.
oh damn. Uh, but yeah, I mean, you know, they play a December Miami game. You know, that's not bad. You know,
I can't wait for it. I can't wait for the slaughter. Either way, for
over.
now, I'm really surprised by how Brandon Cooks is just getting better and better. He made
Yep.
the Gronk touchdown was thanks to him. He basically drew the safety, trying to run as fast as he could to the end zone to get his attention, and that left Gronk with just one man behind him. You
Which
can't.
is crazy.
You cannot be behind Gronk and expect to cover him that way. You need
Yeah,
to be in front of him to keep him away. And even then, he can still just overpower you. But either
that
way,
is.
he made Brandon Cooks is so helpful for them, be it to make other players get a shot at the ball, or just to get the ball himself. Some of the touchdowns he made were spectacular, and this man is so good right now for them. He wants to stay in New England, and he's smart. If New England wants you in their team, who are you to turn them down?
Exactly. I mean, if they're done pay him right after this season, you know, he's gonna stay and they're gonna have a piece for the future whenever Brady decides to hang it up. And that's not in the any time in the coming future.
I hope not.
Oh man.
Anyway, let's move on to the last game, the Texans game. So, yeah, hey Texans, if it was any consolation, you had the lead at one point. You scored your your third opening drive touchdown of the season. It was the first one with Tom Savage. I know, surprising, isn't it?
Yep.
Either way, this game, Lamar Miller and DeAndre Hopkins, and are on offense at least, were the only bright spots. Fedorowicz did not look like himself, even though he's been on IR, completely free of the concussion for weeks. He just looks so rusty, making two bad plays. One where he had a ball given to him, but he just couldn't catch it for some reason, and then the other one, he let Terrell Suggs walk past him and just force Kendall Lamb, who was expecting some help from Fedorowicz to slow him down, just be overpowered, and bam, murdered Tom Savage. Savage was manhandled by this Ravens D. They were flocking to him, and I'm not surprised he fucked up. An inevitable strip sack and an inevitable interception. 2, actually. I believe he had 2 picks. It was people were really chanting for TJ Yates. At this point, I don't think it matters who you have. Those games are losses no matter who you put. There's only one, like I said, only one game you could really win, and that is the 49ers game. Everything else, maybe you could beat the Pittsburgh Steelers if the Patriots already beat them and they pretty much have the second spot locked. Right. Which I think that's going to be more likely than you think, because the rest of the AFC, oh boy. I mean, look, the Jags and the Titans are both going to finish 9-7 if you ask me. And the Chiefs, oh boy, they're just free falling.
Yeah, they're in some bad shape.
Yeah, it might be a good time to start Pat Mahomes. See what he got.
I mean, you know,
if Deshaun Watson did so well, I can only expect Pat Mahomes to be the next coming of either Steve Young or Joe Montana.
I mean, Mahomes probably if they lose like a bunch of games in a row.
If they lose to the Jets, I would be disappointed in Chiefs fans if they're not chanting his name by the end of it.
I mean, you know, you have an explosive player in Tyreek Hill. You have an explosive player in Kareem Hunt. You have an explosive player in Travis Kelce. How are you not scoring points? But, you know, back to the Houston-Baltimore game. Speaking of not scoring any points, the Baltimore offense kind of is not exactly.
It's still a mess. It is. Despite that win, that was mostly because special teams by the Houston has been consistently bad. It still is. You give up a fake punt. Shane Leckler, he is not kicking as well. 2 36 yard punt returns, and I think by the end of the year he's gonna hang it up. I'm pretty sure he's done. I don't feel like he's gonna get another shot at it. They need to start looking for another punter. I don't know who. Maybe they can get the other guy the Lions had when they had Sam Martin on IR for a bit.
Yeah, Locke.
Yeah, you might have to ask for him. Ask for his number. Either way, Leckler had a fun run, but there were just some bad play. There was also the muffed punt by the Texans, which they were lucky to recover. Although I will say, to me, that was, if I felt like I saw a late hit when he was on the ground. Some say that the Ravens player just wasn't able to react in time. Bullshit. I say to that, like, you saw this happen to your quarterback a few weeks ago against the Dolphins, and I was defending your ass, and now you're like, no, I don't think he did it. Although the refs were terrible, Bill. How in the world are you gonna see a man pull on a jersey so hard because he can't cover this guy, he can't cover Nuke to save his life, so he has to hold on like a kid holding on to his his mom's dress in a major windstorm, to the point where the jersey rips in two, and like, oh no, that's not a hold. But the minute you point, you just put your hand on somebody's shoulder, like, oh, that's a holding call, 10-yard penalty. Still first down. What? What?
Guess what crew that was?
Who was it?
Remember the Tennessee-Detroit game last year?
Oh God, it was him.
It's the same fucking jackass that refereed that game was that game's referee, and that was his crew. His shithole crew was refereeing the Houston-Baltimore game, and it just proves. See, I didn't even tell you. I didn't even tell you that was his crew, because I saw exactly what you did, and he's a piece of shit. A legitimate piece of shit, and it's still in my crawl about that guy. Because Brad Allen is absolute horseshit at calling football games.
They tore Hopkins' jersey in half, and they're like, no, that's not a holding call. What? Next thing you know, I could go deck a guy in the face through his helmet, and you're gonna tell me that wasn't a punch. You're like, oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Brad Allen is the worst referee in the entire NFL. He's pathetically bad.
I miss Ed Hockley. I wish he did every single one of my games. Can I just clone Ed Hockley and put him in every single game of the week so that way we'll have the best officiating no matter what?
Yeah, get the gun show, as I call him. Hockley.
Yeah. Oh, boy. But either way, the Texans, those two holding calls that they never called didn't make much of a difference. Hopkins, though, Hopkins already has over 1,000 yards, and he's playing with shitty-ass quarterback play. This man can't get any help. He has drawn so many pass interference calls, too, because he is that good and that dominant that people have to hold on to dear life, as I mentioned earlier, hold on to him because they can't keep up with him because he torches their ass. They're like, no, it's fine. It's not a holding call. But either way, 1,000 yards. I know, granted, over 600 of those yards came from Deshaun Watson. But imagine when Watson plays a full year with him. That dude is going to be even more dominant than Antonio Brown and Julio Jones. Which, I hope that I'm right on that. Either way.
Well, DeAndre will be in the conversation, at
He
least.
he is in my conversation. He's number 3 on top.
He's already in the conversation of being top 10. I would say in the conversation for top 5.
I say top 3. He's number 3.
For me, it's tough to get past, Julio Jones.
No, those two are above him. Those are the only two above him right now. Because where's Odell Beckham? Even if you put him here, he's not. To me, he's not as good as Odell Beckham.
I would say when we get to it, I have a wide receiver that I think is going to develop into a top 5 wide receiver that no one's paying attention to right now.
Nice. Well, we'll wait for that then. Anyway, lastly, I mentioned this earlier, and I was gonna shit on the Texans fans. So let me give the Cowboys fans their one little hope. So one Texans fan I saw saying. Or said like this season, someone said to him, the season was over the minute that we lost Watson. It's like, yeah, if you're weak-minded. It's like, bullshit, boy. You mean to tell me that we can win out to go 9-7 and go out there and win? That involves going to Jacksonville and beating them there, beating the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is more realistic than you think because you're hosting them, and they like to play down to their team. Possible, yes, but then you also got to go beat the Titans, who... Let's be real, without Watson, we can't drop another 50 bomb on them. There's no hell and way Tom Savage is going to do that. You mean to tell me that I'm weak-minded? Oh, and that I apparently cannot spot the Texans' flaws. Let's recap the problems with this Texans game. So, look, hey, bad defensive play in terms of giving up those plays that mattered, giving up those third down conversions. Also, they played cover 2, which left a lot of empty space for the running back to just get the ball at the line of scrimmage and get 2 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards. Because all the cornerbacks just chased after those guys because they play vertical throw. They have a vertical throw style offense, so they kind of have to, but they didn't keep anybody to watch the running back in case he gets the ball. You had that. You had bad special teams play, like I mentioned, the muff punt, the fake punt on 4th and 9. I can keep going on with this. You had, how do I put it? Bad quarterback play, 2 interceptions, a strip sack, bad offensive line play where the left side was a turnstile for Terrell Suggs. Also, all the deflected balls because you let him get that close to each other, to Tom Savage. Can I go on? Am I weak-minded? That you mean to tell me that Tom Savage is that good? I'll be back. So if you mean to tell me that the Texans can somehow beat the Titans, 49ers, Jags, Steelers, and the Colts consecutively, I will gladly donate one of my paychecks.
Oh, damn.
But that's not happening. That is not happening. You are not beating the Titans. You are not beating the Jags. Maybe you could beat the Steelers, but there's no way you're going to beat all 3 of your division opponents. I know normally this is the AFC South, but your quarterback play is not going so well, and you're going to play the best defense in the AFC.
Yep. I mean...
Although, to be fair, that best defense laid a huge egg. So, Jags fan who goes to shit on my power rankings, you and I need to have a talk. I was gonna call him out on the power rankings video. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll say fuck it and do it. But I don't know. I need to take a look at the highlights of that game, and I will do that later before I do my power rankings. But Bill,
Right.
do you honestly believe the Texans can win out and go 9-7?
I don't think so. I think they have a major issue with including Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a big thorn in their side as well. I mean, overall, they have a good chance of winning against San Fran, like you said. I just think this their best shot is probably putting TJ Yates in and just hoping that he plays better than Savage.
They'll probably put him in not in week 17 when it's already too late.
Bill O'Brien, he's very for someone that immediately took Savage out in week 1, he's been very suspiciously loyal to Savage now. And I mean, I think Bill O'Brien. This is Bill O'Brien's last year.
Really? I'm not sure because all the injuries. Although to be fair, this is the same owner who also did this to Gary Kubiak, and then look what Gary Kubiak did a year later, win the Super Bowl with another team.
Yep. I mean, overall, I'm just gonna be brutally honest. You know, the best shot the Texans have is with TJ Yates at quarterback. And I don't see them putting.
The only reason I want in on the playoffs is just to not give the Browns a good draft pick, because as things stand now, Browns fans are clamoring. They are anti-whoever. They're going to be, next week they're going to be Titans fans, week later 49ers fans, and so on and so forth. Because they want the Texans to embrace the tank and give them a top 5 draft pick. Because as things stand now, they would have the 8th overall pick in the draft. I don't think it'll be like that, but I think if I had to guess, they will give them the 10th overall pick of the draft, and I don't want that. If they have to, what, Bill?
Overall, though, I think they're just going to be just terrible.
I think they're going to be trash. Still, I've been saying that the minute they lost Watson, but I don't think they'll fire their coach. I'm not sure they want to fire O'Brien because of what you saw with Watson.
Right.
I don't think that's worth it. And, I do like Mike Vrabel, but he still has to learn. I like how some plays are drawn up, but then it just, when it comes to the end of the game, or like final drives where the team starts to have a hurry up tempo, like when they lost to the Seahawks and the Patriots, that's when they really are exposed. So I don't know. Maybe you switch back to Romeo Crennel. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway. I'm done talking Texans. I just don't fuck it up, Texans. Steal a couple of those. Steal a game or two. Steal one from the Colts at least. Can you do that for me? Go 7-9. Either way, we'll see.
Right.
Anyway, so Bill, let's talk a little Pro Bowl before we move to the picks. So, Pro Bowl ballots are still up. Go ahead and cast your votes at the NFL website if you want. But we're going to talk about offense. Next week we will talk about defense because it would be way too much stuff to talk about. So, Bill, let's get started with quarterbacks. I want to go first on this one. And the first man I'm going to recommend is the number 1 overall pick from last year. The guy I wanted on the Texans. Remember last year when they were tanking at the start of the season. And that's Jared Goff. Jared Goff has a 98.6 passer rating. He's got 19 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, and is about to surpass 3,000 yards. This kid was being talked trash all last year. I know I took my shots at him, I'll be fair, but I felt like with the right coach, and because Derek Fisher was gone, thank God, and now they look good. Now, with a young, innovative coach to go with a young, innovative quarterback, they're going places. I don't know if they'll be a Super Bowl contender. I can't really tell with the NFC right now.
Right.
But they can definitely make some noise for it. And, well, the Lakers fans are starting to show up at their games, so that's how you know the bandwagon's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, Bill, who you got for your first quarterback?
For my first quarterback, I have Carson Wentz. I mean, Carson Wentz is an MVP candidate. All he's doing is throwing tons of touchdowns, not throwing many interceptions, has a ton of yards, and his completion percentage is up. and he hasn't had any sophomore slump. So, he's part of the best team in the NFC. You just can't go against, what Carson Wentz is doing in Philadelphia. He's just got a lot of weapons. He's finding his tight end. He's understanding progressions and reading the defense. He's right about where they thought he would be in year 2. He was the smartest. He was the most pro-ready quarterback coming out last year. They thought he needed a little work and to take a year off. He didn't, and now look where he is.
Yeah. Well, the number 1 and number 2 pick look much more promising compared to the ones from before. But let's go with the 6th round pick, and Tom Brady, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, with the highest quarterback rating of all quarterbacks this year, 111.7, 26 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, over 3,000 yards. I think they will be flirting with 4,000 yards this year. And Tom Brady's the GOAT. What else do I need to say? He's not going to the Pro Bowl, but he is by far the best example of Pro Bowl quarterback play you're ever going to see this year.
Right. I'll put my next quarterback is going to be Derek Carr. Derek Carr, if it wasn't for Derek Carr playing this season, the Oakland Raiders would not be even relevant. He is that important to that team right now. He's just doing his thing. He's only getting better. The team around him is not as good, especially defensively, as it was last year. But I mean, overall, all he's doing in a tough division is keeping his team competitive. He took a little bit of a step back this year, but, teams are game planning for him. He's figuring it out, and they're on the cusp of making the playoffs again.
Well, thanks to the Chiefs tanking.
Exactly.
Now, I'm going to throw one that is also a little bit unexpected, but I like this kid a lot. I wish he stayed in Houston. Case Keenum. Let your Case Keenum flags fly, because I am. 15-5 for touchdown interception ratio. A 96.2 passer rating, and for a guy who had nothing with no expectations, he has done nothing but surpass them. People want Teddy Bridgewater in, but I'm like, what's the problem? What is Case Keenum doing that is costing them games? I mean, you had the first games, but we're not talking about week 2 or week 5. We're talking about weeks 12 and 11 to going into 13. What has he done wrong that demands a change? But but Josh, Teddy Bridgewater would be an excellent story. I don't give a damn about cute little narratives. I mean, I understand they might work with the Astros and winning the World Series for Houston, but in this case, what is going wrong with Case Keenum? I want somebody to go ahead, analyze the tape, tell me what Case Keenum has done that should deserve to be benched. He hasn't. He could at least, he won't be a first ballot type of quarterback, but that's fine. He deserves a Pro Bowl spot considering what people were expecting of him.
Right, I agree.
Do you have one more quarterback, Bill? I'm waiting for your guy. You haven't said anything, and I'm disappointed.
One more guy that I'm going to go with is Drew Brees. Drew Brees is a yearly 4,000 to 5,000 yard guy. He yearly throws for 35 to 40 touchdowns, and he's got his Saints playing really well. He's got a team that's actually built decently, and overall, they finally figured it out with his big contract. They have the team built in a correct way, and Drew Brees, all he does is throw for 4,000 plus yards every year. So obviously he's a Pro Bowler in my book.
Yep, I'll give you one more. This one surprised me just now. Gonna go with Kirk Cousins with the Washington football team. He's got a 101.1 passer rating, 22 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, and for a guy with little to work with on his roster, he has overachieved as well. I mean, Washington's done, but if I were him, I would use this as the perfect example to get paid in Denver.
Right.
Or if you want to stay with Washington, they better have some talented players because Josh Doxson is not living up to expectations.
Right.
Either way, let's move on to running backs, Bill. And you know what? I'll let you start with this one.
All right. My first running back that I'm going to put in is Alvin Kamara of the New Orleans Saints. He came out of nowhere. He he was found by the Saints, and now all he's turned into has been the best running back on that roster by a long shot over Mark Ingram. He is a pass catching receiver. He is a running back. He is both. And players like that are special talents. And I just gotta give it to Kamara. He's the best running back in New Orleans, and he's very deserving of a spot in my opinion.
I'm gonna go with the team he played against today. The Rams, and with Todd Gurley. Now he's got 5 fumbles, and that should be noted, but 11 touchdowns, over 1,300 yards. He's back into his peak form, like you were expecting in his second year, which was a bad sophomore slump. But that's Fisher's fault more than anything else. What can I say?
Right.
I like Todd Gurley when he was a rookie, and I'm just glad he is performing as well as he should be.
Right. See, here's my next one, and here's this name you're not gonna really think of, but it's Isaiah Crowell out of the Cleveland Browns. Every game he plays in, he runs like 9 or 10 rushes for 100 yards, and why they don't keep feeding him the football is beyond me. Isaiah Crowell should be going to the Pro Bowl because that's legitimately where he belongs because he's a damn good running back on a shitty team. And I want to give Isaiah Crowell a lot of credit. He runs hard even for a team that's going to go 0-16.
Oh, I can agree with that. Next one for me, Jay Ajayi. I know maybe it's a bit too soon, but I like what I'm seeing for him now. He's starting to get those proper numbers because he's on a real team with the Philadelphia Eagles. He only has 1 touchdown to his credit, but his average has gone up tremendously. I believe the last time when he was with the Dolphins, he was averaging a little more than 2 yards. Now he's averaging 4.2 yards, which is if you're over 4 in your yard average, that's a good thing for a running back. That's the ideal target zone, and he's playing very well.
Right.
All right, Bill, who you got next?
My last running back that I want to give a Pro Bowl spot to is Jordan Howard of the Chicago Bears. Where would the Chicago Bears be if they didn't have Jordan Howard? Trubisky is playing, he's playing like a rookie, and if they didn't have Jordan Howard, they'd be in some major trouble. He was legitimately all their offense last game, and they only had like 50 yards of offense. I mean, it boggles my mind why you just don't put 8 in the box against him. And even when that happens, he still runs for 100 yards. So, I mean, Jordan Howard, he deserves a Pro Bowl berth because that's legitimately the only place he's going for a little while that team struggles to rebuild itself.
I'm gonna go with another former Dolphin player in Lamar Miller. He's about to hit 1,000 yards. He's like what, less than 80 away. He might get injured though, so this might be a problem. But I like what he's doing with considering he's the only one again. But this is the problem. He is now forced to be the bell cow. That's not his job. That was supposed to be Deontay Foreman's job, and now he's out. So it's going to be problematic, but I still like him. If he can't, if that doesn't work, I'll give my backup in Dion Lewis, who is just a beast.
And like you did, I'll give an honorable mention to Le'Veon Bell because all he keeps doing is running, and playing well. So Le'Veon Bell is an honorable mention for me as well.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, Bill. Now then, let's move on to Let's move on to wide receivers. And, well, I'll go first with this one. I'm going to go with the easy one for me in Nuke, DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, come on. What did I say earlier? If you have to draw so many defensive pass interferences because they have to hold on to you for dear life to stay on you, and he just passed 1,000 yards. He's got 69 receptions, 9 touchdowns. All he does is make the big plays. This man has the hands. He has the reach. What more can I say? He is my ideal wide receiver right now.
Right. I'm going to go with my first wide receiver, and this is going to shock a lot of people, but I think he's a top 5 receiver in the making, and that is Adam Thielen of the Minnesota Vikings. He is legitimately developing into a threatening possession receiver that can get 10 catches a game for 100 and a touchdown very easily. He's big, tall, lanky, and he's got strong hands. And I mean, Adam Thielen, just all he keeps doing is putting up reception numbers. He went over 1,000 yards in the Detroit game. He always impresses me whenever he plays. I think he's developing into a great wide receiver. He's the next Jordy Nelson, but without the I need a flag.
All right, so next one, a rookie for me, Juju Smith-Schuster. I like this kid. I like him. He's funny. He's got the personality that I can enjoy. Humorous but not obnoxious, not forcing it too much. I mean, although the bike thing did get a little old, it's been done. So it's all good now. I like what he can do. And plus, he gets some targets because Antonio Brown has to draw so much attention, so he gets a lot of shots at it. I like the kid. What more can I say?
Right. I'm going to go for my next one. It's going to be no surprise to anybody. Antonio Brown. All he does is catch 10 footballs a game. He catches touchdowns. He's always open, even when he's not open. I mean, what more can you say? He's just far and above everybody else in the league.
Yeah. All right, so Bill, next for me, I'm going to go with Marvin Jones. I was sold after that Thanksgiving game where, even though that guy had no business helping I forget who the other guy who was playing coverage, Terrence Newman was forced to cover him, did not give a damn, still caught that ball, taking it to the house, and, well, Marvin Jones, really good. He's come into form, and last year he hadn't quite settled in. Now it's all good. I don't know if he'll go over 1,000 yards. I think he will, but we'll see. 8 touchdowns now. That's really good.
Right. Next up, my third receiver I want to put in, Julio Jones. I mean, it's Julio Jones. He's a legit threat for 200 yards per game. He's just scary. I think he's behind Antonio Brown, but barely. He's just one of the best wide receivers in the game, and I just gotta respect that.
Yeah, I understand. So next for me, Brandon Cooks from the Patriots. The Patriot way strikes again here. I like how he has drawn so much more talent. He finally can truly shine as the number one pass catcher of his team. And you know what? It's fine even if he doesn't have a game where he gets the most attention in terms of getting the ball, because he draws so much attention. He leaves Gronk open. He leaves Dion Lewis open. The Patriots have so many targets to choose from. It's a pick your poison type of situation, and he is leading the front right now.
Right. And my last wide receiver I want to put in is Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson of the New York Jets. And all he keeps doing is catching touchdown passes from McCown. And he's having quietly a very good year. He's having a quiet 100 catch, 1,000 yard season. Very, very under the radar, but he is having a good season, and I gotta reward a good season, and he's having one.
All right, Bill. Well, for me, I think Let's see. If I had to think, I'm gonna go with for my last guy. I'm gonna go with Keenan Allen, who's surprisingly a little under the radar. But the Chargers are warming up when it matters most. They're starting to get hot. They can start the run, but it can start with him because last year he was the first player that started that major drop in injuries for the Chargers. Half of the team was out for the year by the time they reached this time of the year. Actually, by the time Thanksgiving rolled around, they had lost half their entire roster to IR. And well, he was the first one, and he's got 900 yards. I'm very confident he'll go past 1,000 too. I don't know if he'll be the next guy, like the fifth person, but he is the closest one as things stand now. I think Brandon Cooks might pass him first, but I don't know. Could be wrong. The Chargers are getting hot at the time it matters most, and look who they got to play. They got to play the Browns next, so he might reach it by Sunday. Anyway, the
Right.
last section is the tight ends. So Bill, I'm gonna start first on this one. I'm gonna go with the easy one. The Gronk. Rob Gronkowski, 7 touchdowns. How does he got that many? Considering he only has 700. He's like every 100 yards he gets a touchdown. Why? Brandon Cooks. This guy is more open. So unless you have someone like Eric Berry cover him, he's always gonna have a shot at a touchdown.
Right. And my other name for you is Kyle Rudolph of the Minnesota Vikings. All he does is catch footballs. He's the safety outlet in Minnesota, and he's a touchdown machine as well. So I mean, they have a decent offense in Minnesota, and Kyle Rudolph is definitely a very big piece of that.
Yep. All right, Bill. I'm going to give you one more, and this one's also very much a monster as Gronk. Travis Kelce, 777 yards, 5 touchdowns. The dude can do it. The dude can do it, but the Chiefs are free falling, but he is perhaps the only bright spot still today, even though he threw an interception.
And my other name was Gronk as well. So I mean,
You're out. All right then, Bill. Then we're done with the Pro Bowl picks. With that in mind, are you ready for the picks?
the actual picks. Oh my God, here we go. The Thursday game, the last game in November. The Washington football team at the Dallas Cowboys.
Are you still staying with Washington, Bill? Or are you going to switch to Dallas?
Yes, I am. I'm going Washington. I think they are going to do a number on that defense.
I'm going to switch as well. I'm going with the Washington football team. Have at it, we damn boys fans, because embrace the tank. Maybe you go 6-10.
All right, next up, the 1 o'clock games. It is the Minnesota Vikings at the Atlanta Falcons.
I'm gonna go with the Vikings on this one. The Falcons still so disoriented. I don't trust them. I think they'll choke this game too.
I got Minnesota as well. I think Adam Thielen's gonna go off in this game. I really do. Next up, the Houston Texans at the Tennessee Titans.
I'm gonna go with the Titans on this one, but you never know. The Titans can lay an egg here too.
I don't trust either team. I trust the Titans a little more than the Texans, so I'm gonna pick Tennessee. You never know if Mariota's gonna throw 9 interceptions in this game, but I got Tennessee. Next up, the Kansas City Chiefs at the New York Jets.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Do you smell that, Bill? Do you smell it? I smell an upset of the week. I'm going with the Jets, Jets. This has been an upset of the week for me for a while, but now it doesn't feel as impressive. But I'm going to go with the Jets on this one. I think the Chiefs are free falling hard.
I'm going with the New York Jets as well.
Oh, you joined me, Bill.
Yes, I am. Kansas City is done, and I think they are in massive free fall. Robbie Anderson's gonna go crazy in this game, and the Chiefs can't score. They can't score, and that Jets defense is not as bad as a few of the teams that they've played.
I expect Jermaine Kearse to have a good day for this, but although after this game we may start hearing whispers of the good old Patty Mahomes from Texas Tech, and if Watson was that good when nobody expected anything out of him, I damn well expect Pat Mahomes to be the second coming of Joe Montana at this rate.
Oh man. Next up, the Denver Broncos at the Dirty Dolphins.
I don't know who's going to win this one, to be honest. I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos. I expect this to be an ugly team, an ugly match of two angry and dirty defenses beating the crap out of each other. And I just want to say, before I forget, so can we stop saying that John Elway's the greatest GM right now? Because everyone's like, oh, he knows what he's doing. He's cooking up a plan. He's so smart. And look, he's got Paxton Lynch. Paxton Lynch is just hurt, but when he comes back, he's going to save this team. He was playing worse than Brock Osweiler. He was overthrowing so many players, it wasn't even funny. Come on, man, you're a first-round pick. You don't have the excuse with Brock Osweiler, at least, who was a 7th-round pick. Come on.
And I'm picking the Denver Broncos as well to comedically keep their playoff hopes alive at 4-8.
Yikes. So the 7-game losing streak ends now.
Yep. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh boy, I think the Jags defense might drop a 40 burger. And you heard that right. Defense, not the offense, because Blake Bortles finally collapsed. And, well, their defense needs to get their shit together. And this is the best team to do that against right now. You need a bad offense to go up against, and you get it. The Jags cannot possibly fuck this up, right?
I got the Jacksonville Jaguars as well. I think they're the best team in the AFC South, surprisingly. And they just, I mean, this is maybe the game that gets Chuck Pagano fired. I doubt it, though.
Oh, come on. If they didn't want to fire Jason Garrett, they won't fire him.
Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, boy, I don't even know. I'm going to go with Green Bay because they're the home team, but I mean, it's one thing if Winston were here, but I don't know if he's starting yet, so I'm going to go with Green Bay.
Yep, in a former NFC Central matchup, it's the Buccaneers used to be part of our division way back in the day, and so Green Bay was part of that division. But I've got Green Bay, beating Tampa Bay just because I trust Hundley a little more.
Embrace the tank, Tampa Bay. Get some good
both
defensive
teams
pieces.
Are very similar to each other.
Yeah, I welcome the Packers going 8-8 because that means they don't get a good draft pick.
Right. Next up, the Detroit Lions at the Baltimore Ravens.
I'm gonna go with Detroit on this one. I think the Ravens are due for another loss. I expect them to come back and turn into Mr. Hyde, because 1 minute they play dominant defenses that shut out teams, and then another week they just play like they're trash. And they need to do this because, I mean, I want to say Big Play Slay should cause some turnovers because these are some very weak, slow throws, even if they're for those deep ball attempts. I don't know. I feel like Joe Flacco needs to slip up now, and it should happen. Just Stafford, don't throw picks too. Protect Stafford with your lives.
I'm going to put my jinx. See, every time I pick Baltimore, Baltimore loses, and every time I pick the team that Baltimore is playing, Baltimore wins. So I'm jinxing the Ravens by picking them, so that way my Lions win. So I'm picking the Baltimore Ravens to win this game, even though I'm hoping for a different outcome. So let's jinx this shit.
I'm going to go with the Lions because I need to win.
Next up, the New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills.
Oh boy. but Bills fans, they think they got a chance. The Bills Mafia is going to throw more dildos because they're disappointed. And the Patriot way is going to show once more. Tom Brady's going to air it out. And Brandon Cooks going to get 2 touchdowns for this game. Also, this is a Stephon Gilmore revenge game. So it should be fun.
You know, I got the Patriots. This should be a laugher. But, you know, you never know what Tyrod Taylor is capable of.
If they start him.
Next up, the San Fran 49ers at the Chicago Bears.
Oh, the 49ers bamboozled the Bears, taking so much draft picks out of them to move up 1 spot. I think the 49ers are going to get their 2nd win of the season this year.
And I've got Chicago running all over the 49ers defense. That run defense is all-time bad. And Jordan Howard is legitimately their only player. So, I mean, it stands to reason that Jordan Howard's going to have a 200-yard game.
Maybe we'll see Jimmy G.
You never know. Next up, the Cleveland Browns at the Los Angeles Chargers.
The run begins now. The race to the AFC West championship. They can take it now. They can take the division crown by starting with bum teams like the Cowboys and the Chargers. Or, I mean, not the Chargers, the Browns. They can do it. They're going to shut out the Browns, I feel like. For all 15 fans at the stadium. Bill, it's going up. They got 3 more fans at the stadium today. The bandwagon's coming, Bill.
Oh, yeah. Look out. All 10 fans are going to cheer as the Browns lose because, you know, it's a soccer stadium.
Okay, I swear, if there are more Browns fans than Chargers fans, I'm going to have to ask for heads to be rolled, because how does that work?
They either move the team back to San Diego or they move it to St. Louis or somewhere to actually team. Next up, the New York Giants at the Oakland Raiders.
Okay, Oakland's got this shit. They're going to throw, I think, 3 touchdowns all over the Giants, even though they've lost Crabtree and Amari Cooper. I feel like the tight ends are going to have to step up, and some of the running backs. Jalen Richard, have a good day today, man.
Oh, yeah, they're going to run the football a lot, and the Giants just are terrible, so I've got Oakland. Oh, here we go. The Carolina Panthers at the New Orleans Saints.
I'm going to the Saints. They beat them last time. They can do it again. The Saints have this in the bag.
I have Alvin Kamara running all over the Panthers defense. I got the New Orleans Saints. Easy win as well. Next up, the LA Rams at the Arizona Cardinals.
You know, to the Cardinals' credit, I'm really glad you beat the Jaguars. That gives you some hope, but I think the Rams, they always play you close. I think the Rams got this one too.
Yeah, this is a whole different animal. The Rams are a much more prolific offense.
And they have a quarterback.
Yeah, they're a prolific offense. I got the Rams. Speaking of prolific offenses, the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday Night Football go to Seattle to take on the Seahawks.
Oh, this is really where you don't want to lose Sherman. You lost him earlier. That's just bad news. If they had Sherman, I would have given this to Seattle. But alas, the Seahawks are going to lose some playoff hope for the division because the Eagles are going to take them out.
The Eagles are the best team in the NFC, and they're a scary, legit Super Bowl threat. I got the Eagles. Next up, the Monday night game, the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, God. Oh, this is ugly. Pittsburgh's going to dominate Cincinnati.
Yeah, the Cincinnati is going to be turned back into the Bungles, and I got the Steelers. Easy win.
All right, Bill, what's the Thursday game for next week?
1 sec. It's loading up. It is the New Orleans Saints at the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, boy. Oh, God, the Saints getting in short notice. Just take a bus to Atlanta, take them out in the Prolapse Stadium, Hey, here's some good news, Atlanta fans. Chick-fil-A will be open today. So take pleasure in at least having Chick-fil-A because, you know, whenever you want Chick-fil-A, it's a Sunday, right? Okay, Bill, who you got?
I got New Orleans. I think New Orleans is the best team in that division.
Bill, I'm gonna go get some Chick-fil-A while I watch the Falcons get destroyed. Should be fun.
Oh man.
But seriously, who builds a Chick-fil-A in a football stadium when most of those games are played on a Sunday? Who thought that was a good idea? Seriously.
No idea.
Anyway, Bill, that'll do it for this week. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Nope, I'm good.
Alright, then next week we're going to talk the defensive side of the Pro Bowl along with these games, so we'll see you guys then.